This is wild. So this couple lives in an old house. Winter hits and the mice show up. And this is pretty normal. She has a full operation to catch these mice every single year. She has mouse traps hidden everywhere. She checks them twice a day and they're constantly being reloaded. And the bait she uses? Peanut butter. The mice love it. Yeah, I love it. I love it. At first, they only had one peanut butter jar that they used. And for every trap, she would use a clean knife. So she would go in, set the trap, throw this knife into the sink, grab a new knife, take the peanut butter, set the trap, watch that one. So she's never double dipping the mice knife into the peanut butter so it doesn't get contaminated. It's too many dishes, it's too much work, but then she finds this peanut butter jar in the cabinet, the kind that her husband hates. Hey, I found this peanut butter jar in the cabinet. Do you mind if I use it for the mouse traps? Yeah, it's totally fine. She writes in the lid in big letters, mouse only. She puts it on the sides as well. It's impossible to miss. And now she was finally able to double dip the knife in the peanut butter to set the traps. So this peanut butter is now fully contaminated with like mice cooties. Well, weeks later, her husband's eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. He calmly says, you know, I really don't like creamy peanut butter. She freezes. Which jar did you use? That one, the frickin' mouse jar. That's the peanut butter I use to set the mouse traps. It is 100% contaminated. He loses his frickin' mind. I'm losing my frickin' mind right now. That's disgusting. He says she should have hidden this jar. How would he know that it was for the mice? Because I wrote mouse only all over it. She points out that he agreed to this. It was labeled, and he ignored everything. He was angry at her for weeks, but she did nothing wrong. This one is on him. In this house, the entire family did something crazy. Every night, an alarm went off at 2 a.m. School nights, weekdays, holidays, it did not matter. Everyone had an alarm. And when it rang, you got up. You would then head down to the kitchen. Your milk. Once everybody was down there, the lights would turn on and the fridge would open. And the entire family would just grab stuff they wanted to eat. Didn't matter. Leftovers, cereal, meatballs, whatever existed in the fridge was free game at 2 a.m. Then they would sit around the table, half asleep, and eat whatever snacks they had. And they talked about nothing. And after about 15 to 20 minutes, they all went back to bed every single day. 10 p.m. they would sleep, 2 a.m. kitchen, morning, work, and school. And this kid, he never questioned it because he thought that that's just how families work. Well, when he slept over at a friend's house for the first time, he set his alarm for 2 a.m. And when it went off, he went down to the kitchen. And nobody was there. He waited there for about 6 minutes, but nobody came down. I've been waiting here for about 6 minutes, but nobody's coming down. So he just goes back to bed, and in the morning, he brings it up to his friend. And his friend thought he was crazy. Well, yeah. This guy says that even now, years later, sometimes he will randomly wake up at 2 a.m., like his body's trying to get him to go to the kitchen. Just an instinct. And sometimes he does go down there and grabs a snack. That's nice. This English teacher was super chill. Okay, guys, late homework can be turned in at any time up until the last week of school. Dude, that's awesome. You can turn your homework in up until the last week of school, and I'll take no points off. He figured that this would encourage students to just do their homework at their own pace and do it well. Well, one kid takes advantage of this situation. He doesn't turn in homework all year. Weeks pass, then months. The teacher assumes this kid just dropped the ball and that he's not going to turn it in ever. Until the final week of school. He brings a stack of worksheets and essays to this teacher's desk. And I mean stacks. Oh, right here you go. Yo, what is this? It's late homework. Remember what you said? I also emailed you 6 of the book reports, so those should be in your inbox now. All right, thanks, teach. I hate my life. So now this teacher, on the last week of school, has to grade a crap ton of homework. It's the last thing he wants to do. I am never doing this ever again. The next year, all right, guys, welcome to class. Homework is due when it's due. There is no exceptions for late work. Dang. That kid ruined it for everybody. It's March. The school goes into one of those lockdowns where the police bring in these dogs to sniff around the lockers looking for some sort of illegal substances. Every classroom door is locked. There's no bathroom breaks allowed. Well, one kid in this class is visibly unwell. Pale, he's sweating. The teacher notices and goes over to him. What's wrong? The kid whispers back. Do you think the dogs would go to my locker? The teacher kind of pauses. Do you have something to be worried about? Kid nods yes and says, there's a ham and cheese sandwich in there with extra mayonnaise on it. The teacher's confused. That's not a problem. You're allowed to have food. The kid says, I know, but it's been in there since September. 6 months. 6 months the sandwich has been in the locker, and the kid is so worried about it, I'm pretty sure that sandwich smelled. This kid wasn't afraid of getting expelled. He was afraid that the dogs were going to uncover this weird biological event that was growing in his locker for 6 months. Luckily for him, the dogs didn't go by his locker, and nobody uncovered the sandwich smell. But that teacher never forgot the fear on that kid's face. This could have been so bad. In this one class, he used to sit in the same seat every single day. Front row in the middle, nothing too special about it. Well, one particular morning, he noticed the person that usually sits right to the left of him was absent. So there was an empty desk right there, and he decided for that day he was gonna sit there. Class then starts like normal. About 25 minutes in, there's a large crack. Then another. Then the overhead projector that is directly above his normal seat falls down and crashes onto that empty desk. That could have been you. Yeah, I know. And it went down fast. The desk was now cracked. Imagine if he was sitting there. The room is frozen, like holy crap, this could have been horrible. Maintenance comes in, they pick it up, they make sure nobody's hurt, and then they just go on about their day. But that day could have gone a whole lot differently if his classmate wasn't sick, and if he decided he wasn't gonna switch seats. But he did, and life went on. Somebody's looking out for him. This teacher was so strict for no reason. Her class was the only class in school that had this rule. No backpacks at your desks ever. They stay in your locker. Backpacks couldn't be under your chairs, couldn't be under your desks, couldn't be leaning against a wall. And if you forgot something, too bad. No trips to your locker, no borrowing stuff from other students. She wouldn't even lend kids a pencil if they needed it. Miss, can I have a pencil? If you forgot your supplies, that meant a 0 for the day. Well, kids usually messed up. Some kids forgot their notebooks, some forgot their papers, pencils. It was a thing, and they were getting 0s. And she wouldn't even bend a little. You know the rule. Well, one day the class decides to coordinate. Every single student in that class on this particular day went in with nothing. No notebooks, no pencils, no pens, no papers, nothing. They were there just themselves. They sit down, they fold their hands in front of them, and they just stare ahead. The teacher looks confused. Then she starts handing out the worksheets for the day. No one moves. Why is nobody writing? We all forgot everything today, Mrs. Cabinet. If we had our backpacks, maybe we'd have our stuff. Well, you all know the rule. The entire class gets a 0 for that day. The next day, they do the same thing, and they get a 0 again. The third day in a row, the class is sticking to their guns, they're all showing up with nothing. They get a 0 again. Parents start calling, asking why their students' grades are tanking. The principal sits in one day and figures out what's going on. Milk! The students were then allowed to bring their backpacks to class. The frickin' protest worked. And those 0s got erased from the gradebook. Their grades were back to normal. That's right. This neighbor tried to get them in trouble. This mom and her kids moved into this small neighborhood, and at first it's quiet and nice, but one day the neighbor tries to give them a hard time. He called the city on her, claims the shed that's in her backyard is illegal and needs to be torn down. Their shed in the backyard is illegal and needs to be torn down. Well, the inspector shows up, checks the permit, checks the shed, everything's fine. He leaves. The shed is perfectly legal. It's been there for years. The neighbor's just being difficult for no reason. The neighbor keeps acting smug, keeps calling the city on them for different things every single day. Well, that's when one of the kids starts to do some digging, Googling city codes, property lines, utility easements, and that shiny new pool the neighbor had. It was built too close to the fence, and it was built directly over the utility line, so very illegal. One day the kid goes out there and starts taking pictures. Let me see this pool. Photos sent to the city, reports filed, and the city gives him a choice. You gotta move the pool or fill it in. How am I supposed to move the pool? Exactly. So he was forced to drain it, tear up the concrete, and fill it in with dirt. $40,000 down the drain, quite literally. And that is some petty revenge. She planned her son's birthday party. He was turning 13. She was a single mom. She wasn't wealthy, she was just getting by. And her son's birthday lands right next to Christmas. So most years he doesn't get much, but like I said, he's turning 13 years old. It's a milestone, so she saved up. She was gonna plan him an awesome birthday with his friends. Batting cages, cake, games, food, a scavenger hunt with a cash prize. She pulled out 4 $5 bills earlier that week to use for the scavenger hunt. Well, on the last day of school, before his kid's birthday party, there was an event at school that she gave her son $5 for. Later that day, her son's friend comes over to hang out briefly. After they leave the house to go play around the neighborhood, she goes to the kitchen and sees her purse sitting there, and her wallet is open, and she is convinced there's a $5 bill missing from her wallet. What the heck is this? She calls her son. Did you take $5 from my wallet? He says no. She asks if his friend took it. He says no, my friend didn't take it. And she's convinced he's lying about this, but he's sticking to his guns. I promise you, Mom, I didn't take it and neither did my friend. This is crazy. Well, I just don't believe you, so your birthday party is canceled. I already called the batting cages. It's over. All this over $5. $5 that she might have just lost herself. Maybe her son didn't actually take it, but she canceled his 13th birthday party anyway, and I think that's pretty messed up. How about you?